You've probably walked barefoot on hot sand and thought, ouch. Now imagine doing that every single day for your entire life, across ice, thorns, rocks, and frozen tundra, and never once thinking something was wrong. That wasn't bravery. That was just Tuesday for 99% of human history. And here's the part that should genuinely bother you. Humans figured out fire a million years ago. We figured out clothing at least 170,000 years ago. But the one body part touching the ground every single step, every single day, for over 100,000 years, nobody thought to protect that. Or did they just not need to? For most of human existence, your ancestors' feet were doing something almost unbelievable by modern standards. No cushioning, no soles, no arch support, just skin, bone, and callus against whatever the earth decided to throw at them that day. Most people assume this is because early humans simply didn't have the technology. That's not quite right. They had sharpened stone tools capable of cutting hide with incredible precision. They had the exact same material, animal skin, that they were already using for clothing. The knowledge wasn't the problem. So what was? The answer isn't about intelligence. It's about biology quietly doing something remarkable behind the scenes, something so effective that shoes weren't a necessity. They were a late-stage upgrade. A foot that has never worn a shoe develops differently than one that has. Bare feet build thicker calluses, wider toe spread, and stronger connective tissue across the sole. Anthropologists studying modern barefoot populations, communities in rural Kenya and parts of India who rarely wear footwear, found their feet functioned almost like built-in shoes. Thick, tough, shock-absorbing skin, exactly where it was needed most. Your ancestors weren't suffering through barefoot life. Their feet were adapting to it, generation after generation, until, ouch, simply stopped happening. Here's where it gets genuinely strange. Bones don't lie, and they don't forget. Anthropologist Eric Trinkhaus studied ancient toe bones and noticed something odd. The smaller toes of humans living tens of thousands of years ago were noticeably thicker and more robust than those of humans just a few thousand years later. Why would toe bones suddenly get thinner? Because once you strap something rigid to your foot, your smaller toes stop doing as much gripping work. They stop needing to be strong, and the bones themselves respond by getting weaker. Using this method, researchers traced the likely beginning of regular shoe wearing to around 40,000 years ago. Not because that's when shoes were invented, but because that's when human toe bones start showing the signature of a foot that has stopped working as hard. This wasn't a random moment. It lines up almost exactly with humans pushing into colder, harsher environments. Ice Age Europe and Siberia, where frostbite wasn't a discomfort, it was a death sentence. At sites like Sungir in Russia, archaeologists found burials over 30,000 years old, with thousands of tiny beads arranged in patterns along the legs and feet, in the exact shape soft leather footwear would leave behind as it decomposed. No shoe survived the journey. Only the outline did, pressed into the earth by beads that never moved. So the first shoes may not have been about comfort at all. They were about survival at the edge of the habitable world, a technology invented, not because feet were suffering, but because humans had wandered somewhere feet were never designed to go. But here's the twist, most people miss entirely. For the tens of thousands of years before that migration, bare feet weren't a limitation humans were working around. They were often better. Modern podiatric research has found that lifelong barefoot walkers frequently show fewer foot deformities, stronger arches, and better natural shock absorption than people who grew up in cushioned shoes. The rigid support we consider help today may actually be doing some of the work your foot muscles were built to do themselves, and in doing so, quietly weakening them. Which raises an uncomfortable question. What if the shoe wasn't just a solution? What if it was also the beginning of a trade-off we're still living with, tens of thousands of years later, every time we complain about foot pain in perfectly cushioned sneakers? Your ancestors' feet knew exactly what they were doing. They just didn't survive to explain it to us. All that's left is bone density, bead patterns pressed into frozen ground, and a species that eventually decided the ground itself couldn't be trusted anymore. If you want more videos digging into the hidden history hiding inside the human body, subscribe. There's a lot more buried in being human.